Welcome to the Mom and podcast. We're your hosts, Suzanne Kerns
and Missy Stevens. We want to help you through everything that happens in the ellipses, from your professional life to your emotional health.
You're a mom and so much more. Let's figure out what comes next together. Welcome to the Mom and spring break / 1 year of COVID anniversary edition. So we are preemptively ditching our G rating this week because we have a feeling we can't really talk about a year of COVID without cussing, and that's just how it is. So put in those earbuds or put in one earbud and let the other one indiscreetly hang in front of you like I do.
So we're kind of on a gratitude kick after talking to Nancy Davis Coe. If you haven't listened to our episode that came out last week or this week, yesterday. Time does not matter anymore. So, but after we talked to her last week or the week before about gratitude in her book, The Thank You Project. And so we know it's been a long year. That's the understatement of the century. But there's also been a lot of light and a lot of lessons learned. And so that's kind of what we want to talk about this week.
And we had Coach Jenny Remington on a couple of times as well. And she had a newsletter that came out this morning. Not sure if you saw it yet, Missy, but it was all about just really, some people don't want to reflect back on this year. In fact, I've had a few of my friends in their Facebook posts, they're like, save me your, pretty much exactly what we're doing today. Save me your reflections. I don't want to think about it. I'm just going forward. And actually, the more I learn about myself from like doing the Enneagram and stuff, I know I'm a forward thinker as well, too. I'm like, can't change that past. Let's just move on with it. So we respect that opinion. We respect the opinion people who feel like they did learn a lot and that they want to carry forward some lessons. And they do like to reflect and think about all of those things. But no matter who you are and how you're thinking about it, I think everybody just deserves to be gentle with themselves and give themselves some grace. And there was a really great line from Jenny's newsletter, said, you are doing the best you can, and that is good enough.
That is good.
So that is, if we catch any of you talking bad about yourselves, or if I catch Missy talking bad about herself, or vice versa, we're just going to say, you are doing the best you can, and that's good enough. And when we can do better, we'll do better. And you know what? Some of us aren't quite ready to do better yet.
I think that's been a huge lesson for me this year, is that I've always struggled with letting perfect get in the way of done. And I still want a lot of what I do to be at its very best. But I have learned that some things are just fine, just to be done. Just let it go. And it really doesn't have to, I don't have to agonize over it. And we're doing our best.
And you're already jumping into some of our lessons. So like, did you, aside from that, did you learn anything else about yourself or your family that maybe you wouldn't have known if you weren't stuck in a house with them for the past year?
Yeah, I did. And I think you and I learned a couple of things that were the same in our houses, especially about is it Misophonia?
I was going to ask you how to pronounce it, but yes, so much. I have a severe case. And I've always known this about myself, but
this is not new information.
No, this becomes just really, I don't know if it's exaggerated or amplified or what, but misophonia is the issue that some people have with extreme sensitivity to sounds. And mine is chewing, which is okay if my kids are chewing at the school lunchroom and my husband is at his office chewing, but all the humans are in the house and they're all chewing with their mouths all the time. And don't even get me started about the dogs licking their parts while I'm trying to concentrate.
Or trying to sleep. Mine love to take turns, like waking in the night to lick things and make
we moved them downstairs. They were in our bedroom for a while. They did for like a year. And then we just were like, you know what? Good enough.
Come on now.
We're doing good enough.
Good enough in there
better than perfect. Yes. So it's good enough.
I want Mark to like never chew or breathe again. which I know would lead to a whole nother set of problems. Like, he probably can't live that way. But a year of being together, I mean, he travels in our normal life, in our
Yeah.
pre-COVID life. And so sometimes it would be one day a week, sometimes he'd be gone for a week at a time, but at least one night a week, he was gone. And I think that's healthy for everybody. And I kind of miss that. And I mean, we're here and the kids are here. And I just, there's so much chewing.
Yes.
It's
Er
horrible.
and swallowing
Ugh.
and slurping.
Yes.
I mean, why
Yes.
does the chewing have to be followed by the swallowing?
And I
There's just too
did
much.
not realize it. Maybe it's a mom fail. I don't know. I think I failed to impart some manners in my children. My youngest
Oh,
especially chews with his mouth open most of the time. I'm like, "Oh my
uh,
gosh."
see, I busted you already. You're doing the best you can, and that's good enough.
I guess, but maybe I haven't done my best. Maybe I have not taught him manners. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I
Oh
just have
my
like a
gosh.
zip, like a
Yeah, I'm
we
like,
could call it close the gate. Close the gate.
mhm. Yes, just close, please.
I love
Oh,
them so much. I love
yep.
them all so much. It's the sounds. And it's not like they are exceptionally loud chewers. I'm
Yeah.
not like judging the way. This isn't me. This is a misophonia. This is my ears
Yes.
having a problem, not their mouths having a problem,
Right.
but they're all in the same house. So
Yeah. I have major
that
noise
is the problem.
sensitivity to a lot of things. If like fan noise will get to me after a while.
Mhm.
I struggle if I'm in a really chaotic, noisy place after a while. Like it gets me.
Yep.
So this is just exaggerated this 1 year in the house. But
Yes.
I think that was one of the things that I learned too, is maybe it's not necessarily a learning, but this is such a unique opportunity to observe each other. Like, we're sort of a
Yeah.
permanent zoo exhibit that we're all watching each other all the time,
Do you
and
think
I'm
the animals
grateful
in
for
the
it.
exhibit observe each other?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's a unique thing that I never we never would have had this, especially our own kids are roughly the same ages, and so we've got
Yep.
tweens and teens, and they have lives, and we've spent a
They
lot of
probably
time
would
with
not
them.
be in the house. This is I
No.
mean, and especially for, my daughter's gonna be turning 16 in a couple months.
Yeah,
Once she's free again, I probably won't see her again until maybe she
no.
comes to visit with her spouse some year for Christmas. So,
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta
yeah.
kinda soak it in. But just speaking about
Mhm.
those kids, oh my gosh, I've been so impressed about how resilient
Yes.
my kids are, especially not only just all the craziness of, you know, virtual school and being apart from their friends, but we moved across town in July. So
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of all of this.
Mhm.
And my son has never been inside his new school. He met one of his teachers a couple weeks ago for about 20 seconds when we had to go pick up something. That was the first and only time he has seen her
Yeah.
in real life or any of his teachers in real life. And he'll probably I mean, we'll see. He probably will finish off his 5th grade with never stepping inside this school. He'll never it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
And, and just moving and not being able to say goodbye to have a
Have a
party or do all
party.
the things or
Yeah.
welcome people to your new house. He's
Mhm.
had one of his best friends over, and that's our one exception that we allow to people within the
Yeah.
house. But yeah, they're doing good. I
They
mean,
really are.
either that or they're really good actors. They're either I d
Right. I mean, there is that little voice in the back of my head that says, "Oh, will we find out years from now that there's," and there are gonna be things that unfold over time, I think, but gosh,
yeah,
I mean, the kids, they're doing great. And I think
yes.
they're resilient, and I think when this is over, whatever we won't go back. Whatever it is when this is all over, and we're starting
Mhm.
to see some of it with more vaccine rollout, they'll just adapt and go, and that's their life. And I'm
Yep.
sure they'll take away some crazy lessons that they don't even know they've
And
taken
again,
away, but
so we don't get destroyed by feedback on this. We do realize there are kids that are not thriving in this
yes,
environment, and we
that's true.
we hear that, we see that, we have friends that are that. We're
Mhm.
making observations of what we've seen inside of our own homes and
Right.
with our kids. I know some that really, really are thriving. In fact, I think we just got a notice from our school district today that next year there's going to be a virtual hybrid option that has
Mm.
nothing to do with COVID necessarily. It's just because some people have found that this
Works.
works much better for them, and it gives them the opportunity to still have the benefit of school and work with a type of setup. It's kind of this blended homeschooling almost, but
Yeah.
still the district. So I think there's some it does, some it does not
Right.
at all. And it has been exceptionally challenging. But I've got to
Yeah.
say, we've been, knock on wood. I mean, there's still a few months to go. You never know. It's one of those things where it, as soon as I leave this recording closet, someone I'm probably sure will be crying, because it's always when I start
Yeah.
to be like, we're just really in a groove. Everything's amazing. And then just someone hits a wall. So
That's some
I'm
law. I
jinxing
would like to
myself.
Google what that is, but I feel like it's a universal law that
It's called the cocky
anytime you
mom syndrome.
yeah, you're like, I've got
Yes.
this." When they're itty bitty, it's weird phases, and you're like, "I finally understand this bananas phase, and I understand that you have to have this sippy cup." And then all of a sudden, that's over, and they've started something new. That's how
Yes.
this has kind of been, because we had, like, the initial ramp up a year ago, and then over time, things have changed, and so as soon as I thought, "Well,
Mhm.
I've figured out our pandemic life," then things would change just a little bit. So, yeah, somebody's
Yep.
crying a lot. Usually it's me. But
That's okay too.
yeah,
You're doing your best,
I'm
and
doing my
that's
best.
okay.
Doing my best. Anything
Oh,
you
but
learned that didn't have to do with kids in school?
oh my gosh. Come back to me on that.
Okay,
I mean,
we'll come
but I do
back.
think no, I think it is something that you and I had talked about, and I think you're gonna talk about, is just loosening up, some
Yes.
of I don't know if it'd be necessarily my routines or my standards or my
Mhm.
expectations, but just letting go of that idea of perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I released some rigidity around how I thought things should be. There's way less should in my life and way more, this is what
Mhm.
we can do now. And, I like to
Yes.
hold on to that. I mean, I think that's a better way of living than just constantly being like, "Well, I should get this done, and I should do that, and I
Yeah.
should mop the floors." I mean, yeah, I should at some point, but it's okay if it doesn't happen today.
You know what? I was just looking at our bathroom floors. I don't know that I've mopped them since we moved here.
No, you need a mop. It's time. Time to mop.
I mean, I mop the bathroom area, like the toilet
Yeah,
area, but like the main area where like we just kind of between our sinks and stuff, I don't
yeah.
it's because I got a new white rug, and boy does it look
Now you
white
can see it.
next to the
Uh-huh.
white and black tiles. So yes. So maybe it's time to raise a few of my standards at least.
Yeah. So
So
did you get any new skills or hobbies?
let's see. Well, I've got my sewing machine here beside me. I haven't used it recently, but like back in March, I was just looking through some of my Facebook memories, and I did a lot of mask making. I know at least
So
in
for me.
Austin, yeah, we had a bunch of drives, like mask
Mhm.
drives.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were using fabric that we could find out of anything, all the kids' shirts and pants and stuff that they grew out of. Because I mean, that was back when doctors and nurses, remember, they were wearing trash
Yeah.
bags and they didn't have even
See?
any
Yes.
masks. So I did a lot of mask sewing. In fact, I had to do a post about masks for people with noses, because for a while they were doing that one that was just like, and I got a
Yeah.
big nose, so I can't fit it in some of those masks. So I will link to that in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's a pattern for people who have noses, and
Noses.
so if you
Yeah,
need a
we have
custom mask,
that's are some of our favorite masks, are your masks you made for people with noses, and I think
that's
we have,
right.
some of Sam's old T-shirts that we wear on our faces now.
If anything has Star Wars on it. Um, but yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I've always well, what I did learned is that I really love to buy things for future hobbies, and I've always kind of done that and tried new things and then put them aside, and that did not change. It maybe amplified a little bit, and then I took
Yeah.
my plant hobby next level. Like, I've always loved digging in the dirt. I feel like that's so good for my soul, but
My mom wants
now
to
I
come
have
look at all your plants.
oh, good, yeah, we'll have a tour as soon as we're all vaccinated.
Yeah.
So I just have so many more in the house, and it's been fun to learn. Like, there's a huge learning curve on just things like more plants in the house means more opportunity for things like fungus gnats. Uh, to learn a lot about that, and, but it's just I don't know, I love it, and I will keep that. That's not a pandemic thing for me. It just the pandemic was an opportunity to ramp it up.
Yeah. Well, I had I had a lot of things that I thought I was gonna do, like hobbies that I thought I was gonna do and didn't
Me
do,
too.
kinda like you said, projects that you may or may not. And one of the ones we
Piano
had the
book I bought.
best we had the best intentions about, learning French.
Oh, yeah,
My daughter and I were like, "Oh, we're gonna do all these French podcasts, and we'll talk together in French, and we're gonna watch these French shows."
mhm,
This was way back when this started, and the kids had,
yeah,
like, this spring break that lasted a month, and we thought we were
mhm,
gonna do all these things,
yeah,
and I've got my French friend Virginie, and we were, and we were Skyping with them, and
yeah,
Zoe was talking to her daughter, and it was just very fun, and then it did not I listened to some of the podcasts, but I'm starting to see the correlation or not the similarities between the initial phase of this and becoming a stay-at-home mom. There's just so
ooh,
many things where
yeah,
you think that like, "Oh, I'm gonna have all this time to, wallpaper the kitchen, and we're gonna do these projects, and I'm gonna get all these things done," and it's just like and then every day, somehow the next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock and there's no dinner and someone's crying. It might be you, I don't know.
yeah,
And I feel like everybody kinda now has a little feeling of what it feels like to be, on
yeah,
maternity leave. It's kind of a maternity leave
it is,
pandemic-itis. Yeah.
yeah, the maternity leave that or the it never ends.
It
But
never
yeah,
ends.
we had this huge whiteboard. In fact, it's behind me now. I've moved it in here, but big whiteboard. And we have an art easel and we put it on the easel in our kitchen and we divided it into sections and we had all these like the daily workout plan and the daily menu and when you would do school. We had all these things and we did it for months. And it wasn't until like September or October that I thought, I can't live with this whiteboard in my kitchen anymore. And I'm
Yes.
tired of living this structure we've created for ourselves. And we had to change it up. And the kids were not at school, but they were in school again, and it just changed. So that left, but like, yeah, the whiteboard was a definite physical reminder of our ambitions every day. And sometimes
Did you
we
do
could
'em?
not achieve. Sometimes, but sometimes we would look at the end of the day and be like, so we would try to do family yoga for a while. Again, at the beginning, you're like, we'll do family
Yes.
yoga every day
We
and
did
everyone will get some
meditation.
exercise. Yeah. So, and at some point, like that, we quit having a check mark by family yoga. And yeah, I was like, I don't think
Mhm.
we're doing that anymore. So,
Yes,
yeah.
we had
It
such
did
good
help with meals.
intentions.
It helped with
Y
the questions of like, "What's for dinner? What's for lunch?" Like, we would plan out the meals and we would write on there times where Mark and I had things that we had to do so that we would be like, "Mom and dad are busy at these times. Don't
yes.
come bother us." I would like to go back to that actually. That helps to
You
have that posted
you know
somewhere.
what? We've starting that too, and I've the kids make fun of me because it usually changes by the day I put it up there,
Yep.
but I have started and I wouldn't say it's a huge meal plan. It's like there's maybe 3 nights a week where we cook something, and one of the nights is, like, leftovers, and then there's one of them that's, Friday, we know we're gonna eat out. Saturday night is scrounge or breakfast for dinner night. So, I mean, there's not that many nights, but when there's so much uncertainty in the kids' lives, I've really noticed that that is one like, that's just one variable
Yeah.
that seems to be a much bigger part of their life than I really thought of, like, what's for dinner, and not to be I think they ask a lot, and it's not to be annoying or
Mm-mm.
whatever, it's just
It's
like
no.
they're like, "I know nothing about my future right now
Yeah.
except for that there's gonna be dinner, and could I know what that is? Could I just that would give me one piece of, like, security to know one piece of my
I think
future."
that's a great point because there are times I get annoyed with the "What's for dinner?" question. And I typically answer it multiple times a day because everyone
Yes.
will ask.
So now you just say,
Um,
"Look at the board."
yeah, and it was nice when I could be on the board and be like, "That's what it is. That's what it's gonna be." And, because we do talk about it a lot, but I think your point is so true. It's they know very little. There's so much
Yeah.
uncertainty.
Yes, and I think when I get mad when they ask, it's because I haven't figured it out, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's not even that I'm mad at them, it's like, the things you get most irritated or mad about are usually things that you're wrong about,
Yeah,
so I think that
yeah.
that is probably it, so I'm kinda trying to catch myself on that, and I've just noticed that I feel a lot better.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
because 'cause we've got uncertainty too, I mean, and it's just one less thing to be like, "What is it? Do I have the ingredients for it?" Whatever.
yes.
And so it is. It's just nice, and then it also helps me not have to scramble because a lot of my board meetings are at night.
Yep.
And so and I've had to be like, "Okay, well, that meal takes a lot of prep time, so, Either I got
I
to do
want
that at
those.
lunchtime or let's switch Wednesday and Thursday around. So,
Mhm.
so that is a habit that I hope to take with
Yeah.
me
I'd like to
out
return to
of
my
this.
pre-pandemic meal planning. Before the pandemic, I was the best meal planner, toot my own horn here, but I would do,
Ooh,
like, a couple months in advance, and I had a schedule, and I
shut
would look at yes,
up.
and I would look at what was on our schedule, and I would plan accordingly, like, "We're gonna be out of town, so this is what I need," or, "We're going to have" we used to do a lot of swim meets out of town, we don't do that anymore,
Yeah.
but I would know, like, I would plan that, and I knew and, sometimes the week would come up and things would change, and I would have to, like, draw little arrows and move stuff, but I mean, I planned and there were no repeats within a certain amount of
Oh my
time,
gosh.
and but once the pandemic happened, like, I just that seemed like my brain could not do that. Plus, for a while, we didn't know what groceries we could get.
Yeah, you have to
Remember
work
that?
on which
Yeah,
ingredients are available. Well,
yeah, it
you
was
know what?
too hard.
That brings me to oh, shoot, I'm jumping too far ahead. I'm gonna
No, that's
talk
okay.
about
Jump around.
no, because one of the things we're gonna talk about are the amazing, local
Yeah,
businesses that got us through this, and
yeah,
one of them is Crema Bakery.
uh-huh,
Um, they've just been amazing. The Crema Bakery, they're up on, Brody, you know, or I guess down on Brody, they're in South Austin, but they are just even before the pandemic, I love them because they have the most amazing quiche and goodies and baked goods, and they did my daughter's birthday cake last year, but it's woman owned, which I loved,
I
and
like it.
LGBTQ owned, which I love also,
Mhm.
which is the reason we have all our Informed Parents of Austin meetings there.
Okay.
But they became a essentially a grocery
Grocery
store.
store.
So they started since they had access to a lot of places we didn't. Um, for those first few weeks when you couldn't get things, that's where I got my flour, my butter,
Mhm.
my bread, you know, milk, eggs, and all those essential things. And then, you know, they've just been incredible throughout this whole thing. But then when we had the freeze in Texas a couple weeks ago, well, first of all, when they knew that they weren't going to be able to use the products anymore
Yeah.
because, you know, the electricity went down,
No power to cook.
they just put everything outside and put a note on their Facebook and they were like, "Come and get it. It's gonna go
That's
bad.
amazing.
So come and help yourselves to all this stuff." And then even when they started getting stuff and the electricity was back on, they kept doing it. They would restock all of their stuff and they would put it out on some big tables in front of them and just like whoever has a need and can't and it wasn't for selling. It was for just come take whatever you
Yeah,
need to get you through the next day. Um, just incredible, amazing people. And so that was really, yeah, when we couldn't figure out our meal planning because you didn't know what there was.
no idea.
That was one of the few businesses that I could really count on to just be like,
Yeah,
okay, I know I'm going to have something to make to make a meal. What I don't know what it's going to be, but it can have
yeah.
bread, flour, and milk and eggs in it.
Yeah, it was so weird to buy. We got a lot of groceries early on from, like, the Round Rock Express, which is a minor league baseball team. They would
Hmm.
do they did pre-prepped meals and you could add on some groceries, so you could buy things like milk and flour and things, and, there was another restaurant locally. Sorry, it's slipping my mind. I'll put it in the
I
show
know there's
notes.
another one that was a grocery wholesaler, and we'll link to
Yeah,
them because I wanna give them props, and I can't remember
yes,
the name of it. I wanna say, like,
yeah,
Fresh Direct or something like that, but you
okay.
literally would pull up behind this
Truck.
like, it was you and all these, like, 18
Mhm,
wheelers, and they would
mhm,
bring you your stuff out, so, yeah,
yeah.
businesses got really creative, and
Yeah, and the
I
restaurants
so
really did,
appreciate
like I mean,
that.
we got toilet paper from a couple of restaurants, which again,
Mhm.
remember, we didn't know where we could get toilet paper. Of course, it was like restaurant supply toilet paper. It's
Yes.
so icky, and every once in a
Hey.
while, it'll end up in somebody's like, I put all that stuff in the boys' bathroom," but every once in a while, a boy will be like, "Do we have any regular toilet paper now? Like, why am I using this?"
Yeah, that we counted ourselves lucky if we had that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, "Just be grateful we have toilet paper, people."
We have come along well, okay, so yeah, luxury toilet paper, that's exciting. What else? You bought, like, a carpet rake. Any other weird stuff that you bought from places that were not makeshift grocery stores?
But, I mean, I went through some of my purchases, like, I just went through my email, and I definitely did buy some really weird stuff. The carpet rake's probably among the weirdest, but I'm telling you, if you rake your carpet before you vacuum, more comes out, which you have dogs. I mean,
Yeah.
dogs and my hair, like, the carpet is dirty, and so
Oh,
I
go
love
I
my
don't
carpet
even wanna
rake.
know.
but it's an extra step, so it's not like I'm carpet raking. This is my favorite thing I on a whim bought. Let me see if I can get it in there. Can you see that? Wait, where? There we go. It's a little glasses case for my
Oh my God.
and it's just so cute. But why do I have it? Why do I have it?
I don't know. You look like a Macy's or something. You're
Yes,
so
and on my shelf in my
fancy.
closet, it is so darn cute. Of course, it's not functioning the way it should because inevitably I'm at the door to the garage about to leave and I realize all of my sunglasses are in my closet. So I think I'm going to buy another one and
For
have some sunglasses
downstairs?
in the laundry room. Wait, look at
I
that. I
love it.
also bought this whole organization system. Oh, I wish I had brought it inside. But for the console of my car, bananas. I can't believe I did this. So it's like it's really for photos, but it's these little
Uh-huh.
envelopes. So I have one that's like first aid, one that's masks and gloves, a new thing we carry. One has like lip balm and hair
Oh
things in
my
it, like all these things, and they're all perfectly organized in these little envelopes. So when you open the console of my car, it's like all clean. I never would have done that had it not been for the pandemic.
Girl,
I don't know, like
how have we not done a whole episode on these? Of course, we're not an organizational
oh,
podcast,
I
but
love to organize though. One day we may just have to do a special organizational, not our niche podcast because
yes.
I love it. And
I
I'm
started labeling the pantry. I've
oh
got
yeah.
little shelf labels.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Now keep talking.
Oh,
Are you going to show? Oh no, you're showing your mug. I got to go get my thing. That's my favorite thing because
that
it's
you
in the
bought.
shower where it should be.
Ooh, yeah, your favorite thing is in your shower, and I have one too, and I love it.
Okay.
So everyone needs one of these.
Isn't it nice to know that we filmed that close to my shower?
Mine's right there. Yeah.
I've already talked about this thing. This thing, I should get a commission for every sale of this. I'm going to mess up my beautiful hair here. It's a head massager thing. I mean, it's supposed to be for when you shampoo your hair that you
Yep.
give it a little, ooh, it really gets in there and gets the
Scrub.
gross stuff. I highly recommend it giving to 11-year-old boys who just think washing their hair is just smearing
Right. Well, I'm always like,
shampoo.
this part needs to be washed as well. Like you
Mm,
got to get in the
yeah.
crown of your head and scrub.
But I use it now even not in the shower, and I gave my mom I gave everybody one for Christmas because they cost like $4, but you
Yeah.
can do it even with a ponytail, you can do it. It doesn't get caught in there. So this is my favorite thing in the whole world. We'll put that in the show notes. But the thing that the real crazy thing that we bought during the pandemic was a house.
Yeah, that's kind of a big purchase.
I keep on looking back in my Facebook memories and like our calendar from this year, or from last year. Like last week, a year ago, this week,
Mhm.
we were looking at probably 10 houses that week.
I remember.
And we looked and looked and looked. We did not buy our house until July. And in addition to that, we had to sell our house that we still owned in Seattle that we left 10 years ago. We've been renting it out for 10 years. And then we had to sell our house here. And a year ago, right about now, my mom was moving here
That was so
from Idaho in the house that she lived in for 40 years. And I mean, a salute to mom for, I mean, the plan was that I would fly to Idaho,
yeah.
we would pack things up and, reminisce about, because it's the house I grew up in, and like,
Yeah.
oh, and this special thing and this photos of, and it's like, no, she had to hire a housekeeper to come help her pack up all her stuff. Who knows what she left there? In fact, I do know she's got a wedding dress from this 1960s somewhere up in the attic that someone's going to be surprised to find. She said the cake topper for that wedding is
Oh,
still up in the attic. The people bought it with most of the stuff still in it, thank goodness. The perfect
yeah,
buyer.
thankfully.
So she didn't have to move all that, rakes and hoses and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, just like, oh, I mean, it was bad enough having to pack up my stuff and the
Mhm.
kids stuff in a pandemic, but to like your home of 40 years to have to pack up and leave unceremoniously, like,
Right. Right. Just got to get it done and
eh,
get out. Yeah.
yeah. And my brother and I had planned on being there to like, lock the door the final time. And it's like, nope.
Mm,
And
no.
instead she showed up here and I picked her up at the airport like she was ET in the quarantine, like plastic house. I spray her with Lysol. I'm like, I'm sorry you just left your home of 40 years. Like, but we're going to disinfect you and not touch you for 2 weeks. Welcome to
Oh,
Texas. So,
oh no.
So yeah,
that's a hard time to move, period, but to move like that to a new state and really start over again, that's I mean, hats off to your mom.
yes.
That's hard.
No kidding. But okay, but I do need to give some shout outs since we're doing the thank you project. We're doing gratitude
Yes.
shouts. Boop, boop, boop. Since that was incredibly stressful. If anyone is listening from Seattle and you ever need to sell or buy a house, Melissa Clark. I've never met the
Did you make
woman from Team Up Seattle. I've never met her. She took care of everything. Like we didn't get to go home and take care of the house or paint anything or fix anything up. We didn't have to do a single thing. She would just kind of send updates, sign this, do this, send a check
That's
to this
so great.
person. It was all done. And then for our move here, our friend Tom, who I don't think is technically an agent anymore. I think he trains agents. I probably shouldn't give his name, but Realty Austin. Yay, Realty
Yeah,
Austin.
yeah.
And double shout outs for, well, Jory Stern is the person from Loan People, Max Lehman. Oh my God, the person who works, I think, just as hard as the real estate agent is the person who has to pre approve you for a loan.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to turn around so fast. I don't know about how other markets are, but in Austin,
Yeah.
like if we saw a house we liked and it was on
We'd
a
be ready to go.
Saturday at like 3:45, we were like calling Jory and being,
Mhm.
hey Jory, yeah, can we
Yeah.
get pre-approved for this house? This is way too much money. And she would just boop, boop, boop. But I got to tell you, I love them extra, extra, extra because when I was doing, I'm on the board of Carrying Hope, which works with foster kids, giving hope packs for
Yep.
foster kids. And I was looking at one of our Christmas events where they were doing drop offs and Loan People, the Max Lehman company, Dana Lehman was on there and Jory Stern was on there. And their whole company had like donated. And I was there when they dropped them off. I mean, they weren't just the hope packs. I mean, the stuff that went into each of these packs probably could have taken care of 10 hope packs. And
Nice.
so I went and sent them a thank you for doing that. And then they sponsored our gala a couple of weeks ago at Carrying Hope. So, I mean, talk about giving back to the
Good
community
people.
during a hard time, not just the individual employees, but then the owner of the
Company.
company, Dana Lehman, to put that money towards the gala. Just amazing people doing amazing things and helping people get through tough, hard times.
Yeah. That's a good segue to talk we wanted to talk about local businesses and, like, kinda local heroes that we saw pop up,
Yes.
because there's I mean, that's a light in a time that has been pretty dark for a lot of people when you're looking for the helpers and the lights. I think that we have discovered some local businesses that we can't live without, like
Yes.
Crema and
Yes.
your
I've
real
already
estate
talked about
friends.
Crema.
Yeah,
Yay. What are some of
yeah,
your, I've
and
talked a lot about mine. What are some of yours?
You reminded me when you were talking about carrying hope, and I am really jumping around. I'm gonna combine businesses and, like, looking at our community in a different
I
way, I
love
guess.
it. I'm
Um,
all for it.
but, I'm involved with Foster Village. We each really have a heart for the foster care system, and I watch the community just support them and give all of they need things. They support foster families, reunification families, anyone in the system, and people need items. People find out they're getting a foster child in the middle of the night and they need a car seat. And
Hmm.
they were able to keep that going through the pandemic and get everything they needed and then some. And my high schooler and I are part of this group called YMSL. It's Young Men's Service League. And we volunteer out in the community. And I thought it was great to watch how everyone pivoted to figure out how they could get their needs met in this social distanced COVID world. And Foster Village is one of the places that we work with through YMSL as well. And like being able to get volunteers in there, keep them 6 feet or more apart, and get the work done has just been so heartening to watch. And I hope that
Yeah.
we take some of that away in the future, that there are lots of opportunities to serve. Whether you are bound at home, there's things you can do via telephone, you can do over the computer. If you have a little bit more mobility, there are ways to get out without having to be super hands on,
Yeah, and
which I
that
think
was
some
my
people
number
need.
one fear is, yeah, I've been super, super, super distanced, probably more than most normal people
You've
as
been
far
really
as how
careful.
we've been
Yeah.
locked down. So there's a lot of stuff for Caring Hope. They do stuff every Wednesday is when people can drop off their hope packs, full of
Yeah.
those essential items. Like you were saying, if a foster parent gets a call in the middle of the night, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we've got a 2-week old infant that is going to be coming over like in a half hour. And you're like, Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, we need diapers and
yeah, it's
formula
a
and
bag
places to
full of
sleep.
all those essential items. They do it for every different age group.
Yep.
So they do those, people drop those off on Wednesdays, and we've done a lot of pack drives. And
Mhm.
I hate to admit, but I've been like, I'll work on the newsletter or I'll do something that I can do from home.
Yeah.
But I did finally work that the Hope Pack Drive in December, and I realized how truly distanced it is and how
Yeah.
people respected that. And we just did Caring Hope also did a necessities pickup for anyone. You didn't even have to be a foster
Mhm.
parent or have a foster child. It was just anyone in the
Yeah,
community
you
who had
just
a
need
need for
stuff sometimes.
diapers or formula or food or water. So I
Mhm.
did work that. But I want to also highlight my friend Erica runs this group called Austin Allies.
Yeah.
And so they work with all types of nonprofits and community service groups all throughout Austin. And the whole point is getting kids involved. So
Mhm.
it's things that you can do as a family. And
I
so
love
again, it's
this.
called Austin Allies, and they have so many cool things that you can do from home. And they have things that you can do for spring break too. So if anybody's listening to this, you're like, what am I going to
Yeah.
do to my kids spring break? Go check it out. But it's lots of things like, if they're doing something for the Austin Diaper Bank, you just go pick up bulk,
Mhm.
piles and piles of diapers, but then you put them in groups of 20 or whatever and wrap them
Yeah.
up and so that they can distribute them more easily.
Yep.
So the thing that we did for them was with the Trail Foundation. And so we made a virtual thing where they gave us the supplies, these wildflower seeds and some dirt and stuff, and we made wildflower seed balls, and then we got to go throw
Oh,
them
that's
down at the trail down by Ladybird Lake. We're fostering a wetland plant to keep it safe. So stuff, I mean, all stuff that can be
yeah.
very distanced, but still get you involved in your
Yeah.
community in a very safe way. And in this case, with your kids.
Right.
So very cool organizations.
Very cool. And I think the leaders in our community, the nonprofit leaders and have really they've had to dig deep to figure out how to make this keep working for them. And it has
Oh
just
yeah.
shown what amazing people they are. Every
Yes.
organization I've been involved with, we do a lot of work at Texas Baptist Children's Home, and I've walked away from there nearly in tears a couple times because they're all scrambling to figure out how to make things keep working in a time that is so complicated, and they're doing
Yeah.
it, and they're serving their people, and it's yeah, yeah.
And I think they
I
will
can't even
all
talk
the
about it
first
without crying.
thing Yeah, the first thing that they will all say is they couldn't do it without their supporters and their
Mhm.
volunteers, which is 100% true. So they're
Yeah,
amazing to keep rallying and keep the systems going so people who want to help have a place to help and
yeah.
that it's made really easy and safe for them. So yes,
Mhm.
it's everybody just working together and it's
Yeah,
beautiful and
it's
yes.
beautiful,
So
and a
yes,
lot of them do just need
saluting
money. They just really
yeah,
need money right now because they
yeah,
can't get people in the door to do things that they were doing before because it's not socially distant enough or whatever.
yeah.
They just
And
need
now
cash.
oh, I'm
So if
sorry.
there's somewhere you like, give them some money if you can.
Yes, give them some money, and sometimes even in non-pandemic times, that's the best thing to do,
Mhm.
because you bringing $100 worth of food to a food bank is probably less items than what they can buy for $100 through their
Yep.
bulk purchasing and through their vendors. So even though
Yeah.
it sometimes feels better to give, like, it's kinda like
Thing.
giving someone a present versus a gift card or whatever. It just
Right.
feels like you should be giving something. It is not the lazy way out to give money. It actually ends up doing more in the long run as far as
Yeah.
where that money can go, versus what you
Yeah.
would have spent it on. So
Yeah,
so
that's a
those are
great
some of
point.
our nonprofits, but you know what? There's some profits out there that we like
Yeah.
too.
It saved us in so many ways.
There are, and so, yes, I so
Yeah.
one of my favorites has been Antonelli's Cheese Shop.
Uh-huh.
It has become our date night. Um, it's you go to the shop first you have to book the event. And they do like many throughout the week,
So
these
many.
virtual cheese tastings. And we've done everything from cheese paired with honey, cheese paired with chocolate, cheese paired with the best one a couple weeks ago was with Girl Scout cookies. That was
Ooh,
really fun.
yeah.
And they're just a great local shop in our neighborhood. But you go pick up the tray of cheese, and I think they can even might be
They
able to
can
ship
ship
them.
it.
I don't know, or they can
They
tell
do
you
ship
what
it.
they're going to be. Yeah.
Mhm.
they ship other things. I'm not sure about the cheeses,
Yeah.
but then you just show up at the Zoom or their Facebook Live that night, and you can watch some of their old Facebook Lives. So if you even want to just do your own at home, you can
Oh,
go to
yeah,
one of the
that's
old
cool.
Facebook Lives, find out
And
what kind of
God, does
cheese they got, and do it yourself.
yeah,
So if you want to try one, but they
yeah.
are just such fun people, and I just can't say enough about them. That has been like a really fun, light, happy thing for us to do. And we've also become huge fans of Pint House Pizza. The Bearded
Oh, yeah.
Seal is their beer is my new favorite discovery. And then also another shout out to Kirby Lane's cinnamon swirl pancakes,
Oh,
which I am probably about 25% Kirby Lane cinnamon swirl pancake at this
at
point.
this point,
But those have been our go-tos
yeah.
for
We
all
found a
food.
pizza place during the pandemic too called Local Slice, and it's so
Mm.
good, and I cannot eat cheese, which is the saddest thing ever,
Oh,
but they have an amazing I get their pizza just without cheese on it. Their crust is amazing. It's so, so good. So I think we order from there every 7 to 10 days probably to get Local Slice. It is so
yum.
good, and they're just sweet people. I really enjoy them, and then we've done takeout from so many places, but Jack Allen's, which has it's local, but there's places north, south.
I
We
need to
get a
go there
lot.
more often. They used to be one of our favorite, like when
Yeah,
someone comes to town restaurants. Oh,
yeah.
okay. I need to go there.
They
Yeah,
do
yeah,
a
yeah.
great carryout, and then Salt Traders is their seafood restaurant, which is also I mean, we did Salt Traders carryout with some friends one night and just ate outside on the patio, socially distanced, and I don't know, kinda we were sitting around their pool, I was eating some crab cakes. I mean, it was as vacation-y as you get in a
That
pandemic.
sounds, yes.
Yeah, it was great. Those have been some of my favorite, restaurants. The other thing that I found that I have loved is, local nurseries and garden centers have done a great job
Oh.
with social distancing and mask wearing, and so I feel safe going into those places, and so
Mhm.
would like to shout out Succulent Native, which has really supplied my plant habit. They actually have a plant love club that I think I've talked about in our Facebook group before, but I get a new plant from them every month. I don't know that I would
Oh,
have
I didn't
done that.
realize that was a local thing.
It's local and they are the best and the plants are so good. And their plants I didn't some of them I haven't known about. They're totally new to me. Um, I'll have
Oh,
to post a picture. One
okay.
of
Yeah,
them is
okay.
sort of obscene.
Lincoln,
Have you
Lincoln.
seen the one that's sort of obscene? I think I've shown you that one. I have one that looks
Probably. I'm sure.
yeah.
I'm sure
I'll
you
post
sent
that in our
that.
Facebook group. So but that has been fabulous, and then, Great Outdoors, which is far South Austin, and then Round
Yes.
Rock Garden Centers, which is far North Austin, have both been just 2 of my favorite places because it is outside, and I can just go walk through the plants and be outside, and I
Yes.
told Mark I was going to buy, like they had $1 plants for sale, like, after the freeze.
Oh, don't
I
tell my
got
mom that.
there, there wasn't a lot in the $1, so I came home with things that were not in the $1 bin, like a couple pots and a couple little plants, and so I was
This
like,
was in the
"Oh."
$37 bin.
I was like, "Look what I got," and he was like, "That doesn't look like $1," and I said, "Don't we're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it."
Well, we have the Shoal Creek Nursery is the
Oh,
one
that's
that's
a
kind of
great one.
closest to our area, and that was the first place that my poor mom, she has just been so abused. She finally got to come inside our house for the first time this week because I was helping her with some tax paperwork. And I mean, she spent Christmas and Thanksgiving out on our porch. We only let her in to go to the bathroom. But the Shoal Creek Nursery was like the only outing that I've got to have with her since she's moved
Mm,
here in a year because I did feel safe. It was like
yeah,
it's outdoors and she loves plants and it was just a nice thing to be able to
yeah,
go. And so yeah, that was our special once a year outing that
and
we do. Now that she lives 5
yeah,
minutes away, I spend less time
it's
with her than when she lived in Idaho.
you're so close to both being fully vaccinated, that will help a little.
Yay, come on.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So yes, I'm ready to go back to actually shopping. And yeah,
Yeah,
what are you ready to get back to? We can end on a high note for things that we're
yeah.
ready to do.
Well, I know I told you this story. I'm really ready. I'm a CASA volunteer, and so I go to court pretty often for my cases, and court has all been virtual, which has been super complicated for a number of reasons. There's a lot I like about being able to do things on Zoom, just because it eliminates your drive time and you don't have to wear pants or whatever. Like, there's some good things about that. But I was in court last week. I think it was last week. Um, and it was my turn to give my report. And I started to speak, and the judge started to laugh. And I was like, this isn't right. Like, he's a nice guy, but he doesn't usually laugh at people. And he started to laugh, and he said, Miss Stevens, I'm sorry. I have to ask you to stop. Something is wrong with your audio, and you sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. And I look around at all the windows, everyone's giggling. And so I start to laugh, and the
You said, "I'm not a cat."
exactly. The county attorney was like, "Please stop laughing because when you laugh, it's very chipmunky." Like, we're all dying. We had to stop. The judge took us off. We had to go off the record. He's like, "Hold on, we have to go off the record." We never could fix my audio. Everyone's crying, laughing. I totally felt like the "I'm not a cat, I'm here in person, Your Honor" person.
Oh,
And
how did you
I
even
never
do that?
I have no idea, and it was on Microsoft Teams, which the only time I use Teams is for court. Everyone's like, "We didn't even know you could change your voice." I'm like, "I didn't touch anything. I swear. I have no idea." So we had to stop all of court,
Oh.
start back, and then I couldn't give my report. Someone else from CASA, like, I have a supervisor because I'm a volunteer there. So my supervisor had to give my report because I couldn't speak again for the whole time. So I'm ready to go back to
Oh
court and
my god. Please tell me someone has a recording of that
I
somewhere.
think that I thought, because most hearings like that in Texas, they're public record. So I
Yeah.
thought that it would be public, and I was terrified I was going to end up a meme. Like, I was just waiting for my kids to be like, "I saw you on TikTok." Um,
I want that so bad.
but I think the only people that have the actual, like, audio visual whole bit recording is the court. And
Oh my god.
so my supervisor said, "I don't think they'll do anything with it." And I'm like, I kinda wouldn't blame them if they released it.
Don't you wanna see it though? Don't you wanna know what you sounded like?
Well, I do and I don't, you know? Like, I'm just like, "Oh," it was so mortifying. I got the flop sweats. I was, like,
Oh my
sweating,
god.
but it was hysterical at the same time. Like, I was laughing, I was embarrassed, I was dying. The whole rest of the day, I'd think about it and be like, "I can't believe that happened to me. I can't
Oh my
believe."
god.
And I mean, to see the judge start laughing at you and take the whole hearing off the record. I mean, this is a child's life we were talking about, and we're all
Oh my god.
wow, it's wrong. So yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I hope Zoom sticks around for some things, but some things need to be in person.
I did find on Zoom, you can do some of those filters, like, you can do bunny ears and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. I wonder if while we're doing Zoom, if I could stick some on you the next time we're recording.
Your Honor, I'm here live. I'm not a cat. I'm also
I'm
not a
not a cat.
chipmunk.
Oh my god. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I wanna see that video so bad.
Well, one day maybe maybe I should contact the court reporter and see how it
Please, please get it. Oh, you know what? I see your mug. Here's my mug.
mhm.
We need to let Ellen know.
Oh, yeah,
Mm,
her mug's on the way.
her mug is on the way. I
Mhm.
just got the shipment. And for those of you who sign up for
Yeah.
the newsletter and you get maybe selected to win a mug sometime, we personalized it. So
Yeah.
it's from over here, it says Ellen. And
Yeah.
so it's extra special. It's even more special than ours.
I know, ours don't have our names on them.
I
I go with
know. I'm gonna make another one.
yeah. Well, I
I'm
guess
trying.
actually ours do have our names on them.
Yes. Well, you know what? My stuff that I wanna get back to can't even compare to that. I mean, my husband, at least once every few days, will just look over and say, "I just wanna drink a margarita at a Mexican restaurant." Like, that's all he wants in his
I just wanna
life.
make a plan and go somewhere without COVID being like, "COVID, COVID, COVID."
Yes, not having to
Sit in
think
a
about
restaurant
it.
and have a drink.
But yes,
Yeah.
letting my mom in the house, that was an exciting thing last week. Wanna travel, I wanna go to
Oh,
concerts and plays, but mostly I just want my kids to go to school. Like, I would stay in lockdown for the rest of my life if my kids could just go to school and just hang out with their friends. I mean,
no.
it's but no, I mean, but the things that we're not ready to return to, you know what I'm not ready
What?
I kinda I don't wanna get too political here, but I hate when people don't wear their masks, but I like the people not wearing masks, like, that being just my visual, like, yeah, you're an asshole. You're you you're in this for you, you don't care about me or
Yeah.
my family, And yeah, and so I kind of like knowing that. And I do not like knowing that there's going to be people who are real jerks through this that are going to pretend they weren't. And they're going to try to be like, no, it was fine. I wasn't the one that took all of the milk and eggs out of HEB and tried to sell them for $50 a gallon. That wasn't
And the
me.
hand sanitizer, remember that guy who had all that hand sanitizer? He was selling
Yes.
for, like, I don't wanna say the numbers 'cause I can't remember, so I'd be lying, but it was exorbitant fees for, like, Purell wipes and things. It was
Yeah. So I
those
don't
people.
like that there's people that first of all, I don't like that it brought out that in people, but then I
Right.
don't like that now that it's loosening up a little bit that they're gonna be like, "Oh, no, no, that wasn't me. I didn't do that." But
Right.
for my own self, I'm worried that, like, when there's so many options of things that we can do again, that I'm gonna fall back into my saying yes
Me
to
too.
everything habit, and then I'm just gonna be overcommitted and stretched
Yeah.
again, which I've managed to somehow stretch myself even from being at home, but I'm really worried about that and not having the excuse of being like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's not safe," or, I have another Zoom at that time. I think it's gonna make our availability look a lot more available than
Yeah.
it does right now.
Yeah. I think it's an opportunity for us to really do that, like, some growth, to really dig in and say, I learned about myself where my capacity is, which is a
Yeah.
thing I think I knew before, but now, I mean, having stepped back the way we were forced to step back, I
Mhm.
realized I was exhausted. I was exhausted. We said yes to all kinds of things, even fun things. There were times
Yep.
when probably I should have said, "That sounds like so much fun," but that means that we're gonna have to go straight from one activity to the next, and we're all fried, and we probably just need to put on our pajamas. And, I wouldn't say that. I almost never turned anything down, really. And
Mhm.
so I think it's a chance for us to learn and look back. I hope that we can carry forward the feeling of not being as frantic,
Yes.
because it feels good.
It does, and so, yeah, I am very hopeful, and I hope we have, like, it took a year to get our brains to this position where we're at right
Mhm.
now. I'm hoping we have, like, a it's kinda like maternity pants, it took you 9 months to get to the point.
Mhm.
It's gonna take you 9 months for your body to
Or
be like,
15
"Okay,
years.
no." Yeah, or
15 years
yeah, or
sometimes.
or more,
Yeah.
maybe 16. But no, I think that, it's gonna take a long time to get back, so I'm really hopeful that people aren't like, "Okay, we can fly again, okay, it's gonna be,
Yes.
5 business trips a month," just like I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what that grace period's gonna be for emotionally, physically,
Right.
work-wise. It's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting. It's gonna
Yeah.
be interesting.
I don't want
But
people shamed for saying, like, "Hey, during the pandemic, I managed to do my job, and I managed to close these deals or create this business over Zoom, so I probably don't need to get on a plane every month to come see you. Like, maybe as my client, I can see you once or twice a year or something."
Mhm.
Because I think, I look at, not to sound too woo woo, but it's been really good for our environment not to have the planes flying all the time.
Yeah.
Can we keep that in mind? Can we remember that we can do things without getting on a plane sometimes? And not that I don't want people to travel because I miss it too, but let's be reasonable.
Or just driving to an even if they wanna fly to keep the airlines in business, who knows? I don't know. They don't have to
Right.
drive to the office every day. I mean,
Right.
that's probably makes environmentally would be an
Yeah, huge
amazing
difference.
thing. Lifestyle-wise, so much more flexibility for stay-at-home moms who wanna do a part-time gig,
Yeah.
Some of those jobs, if you're doing a part-time job, is 4 hours a day and you spend, an extra hour to commuting, that
Right.
makes a big difference. It makes it more of a possibility. So, yes, I'm very
Yeah.
hopeful that that becomes a reality out of it.
I am too. I do think there will be. I've read a few things talking about, like, the future of office buildings. Like, companies don't need to have as
Yeah,
much physical space available. They can have the same number of employees in half the space if some work from home.
yeah, we'll see. We'll
I
see if
know.
they
I
if
know.
they get the memo. You know what, Memmy? That's a new name for you. Hey,
I'll
Memmy.
take it. Whatever.
Missy. I am just looking at the time. We are at
I know, we've gotta
55
wrap it up.
minutes. You know what? We are
We were gonna do
not
30 minutes
capable.
today.
We were gonna do 30 minutes for sure, and we were gonna be so structured. But no matter what we do, no matter how much we talk or how much we don't talk, it always ends up at an hour. I think an hour is just our time,
Mhm.
and I think people are just gonna have to learn to take little bites of us if they don't have an hour.
Right, you can listen to us in 15, 20-minute segments. That's fine.
Yes.
That's all fine. We are
Uh,
1-hour girls. I just think we have learned that about ourselves on
yes.
this journey of growth that we're taking. We it's not gonna be done in 30
You
minutes.
can't squish us down. You can't.
You can't keep us
Nope.
down, man.
All right. So I'm going to kind of wrap things up
Yeah,
then
wrap
so we
us up.
don't go past the hour mark. But so, yeah, I mean, we've talked about a lot of people that we are grateful for in our community, businesses we're thankful for, nonprofits. But I think there are not enough words to express the gratitude for all the first responders, like
Mm,
the frontline workers, teachers, doctors, nurses, the janitorial staff, the bus drivers. I mean, the bus drivers in here in Austin who go and park in front of neighborhoods throughout the city. I mean, hundreds of buses so that kids can have Wi-Fi for virtual school.
amazing.
The grocery store employees, I mean, who let
The
us get
grocery store
those
employees, I wish there
uh,
was something collectively, like, that we could do for every single grocery store employee. They
yes.
deserve a vacation, a good one.
They deserve, I mean, they really have kept everything going and they
Mhm.
are at so much risk.
So
I mean, can we just give a little salute to HEB? Last week, if we were doing this, I would not have been saluting them because there was some back and forth whether they were going to keep masks mandatory after our governor decided to just open up the state because he's a,
mhm,
anyway.
mhm,
um,
mhm.
so HEB, thank you. I know that there's no great answer. It puts the employees at risk if they have to go tell people to put a mask on. It puts them at
Absolutely.
risk if people do not have masks on. Um, it puts them at more risk if they ask people to put masks on and there's not a statewide law backing them up.
Mhm.
So anyway, they've put themselves in harm's way in so many different ways. And yeah, grocery store employees and teachers and doctors and nurses and everybody. I mean, there's just I can't say who's done the most. They've all
No. No,
just
so many
been.
people continue to work and put themselves in harm's way every day,
Hmm.
while there were many of us who didn't have to make that choice.
Yep,
And I'm thankful. I'll never not be thankful. I will never not have the pit in my stomach and feel like on the verge of tears when I think about the frontline workers, and anybody who's had to work through this is a frontline worker, and
yeah,
they kept us going. It's amazing.
yeah. And yeah, all I mean, I feel like we talk primarily about restaurants, but I mean, it's the food. I mean, you
Food.
need food. You need food.
You
And I
need
really
food.
feel like the grocery
Mhm.
stores, the restaurant employees, the delivery
Yeah.
people
Oh,
who have brought, groceries and meals to people's doors
yeah.
because, they can't go out. Oh, thank you. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
not enough words to express.
Mm-mm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to every single person who feels like maybe you haven't done enough, but you have worn a mask to
And
keep
stayed home.
everybody else safe and stayed home and distanced when you did need to go out. I
Mhm.
mean, you literally have saved lives. I mean, we don't
Yep,
think about it, but every time you do one of those things, you're saving lives. And this
absolutely.
is not over yet. We're looking back at this
No.
year. It's not closing. It's entering a new phase, and
Mhm.
it is going to be hard as we're looking at those Facebook memories and thinking about what was I doing a year ago today? What was I doing a year ago today? And some of those are going to be really hard. Some of those maybe someone you know or love going into a hospital or getting really sick or dying. It's going to be
A lot of
hard.
loss this year.
There's a lot of loss, but it also may have a little bit of good, from, if your mom moved to town, even if it was hard, or if you got a new house, or if you found the perfect succulent at that garden that really, lit up your day.
Or hung out
There's,
with your teenager who would not have been home otherwise. Like, that what a
yes.
gift.
Yes. So I know it's going to be very hard to look for the good. And there's going to be days where you're probably not going to want to and
Right.
be gentle and
Give yourself that.
give yourself that grace of knowing that
Mhm.
you don't have to look on the bright side of something that
No.
is really horrible. But then
All of your
know,
feelings are okay. That is what a therapist
yes,
taught me years
yeah,
ago, that I
give
should have
yourself grace the
probably
next
known.
day when you are laughing. Yeah.
Yeah. Every feeling is valid, deserves to have your attention. You're feeling it for a reason. Like, there's no shame in your feelings.
Yes.
They serve a purpose.
And we're going to be having a lot of them this week,
Yep.
especially we're going to spring break. This is the spring break last year that in Austin and Texas, and for so many of
ended.
us, never ended. Well, now it has a lot more homework, but they're still here.
Yeah.
So yeah, just know that every emotion is valid, and
Mm-hmm.
feel them all to their fullest, and let your kids do the same because they're feeling it all too. So
Totally.
we are thinking of you, and be sure to virtually hug someone who, maybe you don't know what their calendar from a year ago looked like. And so give them some grace too.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this when we post it on the podcast, it will be a Thursday. And we're trying to really embrace our Thankful Thursdays. So it's a perfect day to just tell somebody you're grateful for them, or an organization or a restaurant or whatever it is. Share your gratitude.
Yes, very much so. And I, Missy, am thankful for you and that we get to
I
do
am thankful for
this
you and
every
that we
week.
have a podcast now.
Yes.
That's a great thing that came out of this weird year.
It is. It is. So yes, that is our bright side. But
Yeah.
thank you for doing this every week. And thank you all for coming and watching and listening. And if you are on spring break, have a wonderful, wonderful spring break. Be safe. Keep those masks
safe, be
on.
well.
All right.
Wear your mask, dang it.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining us for the Mom and ... podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show today. And if you know someone else who could benefit from today's episode, be sure to share it with them. Also, please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find links to all the things we discussed today in the show notes over at our website, momandpodcast.com, with the AND spelled out. In between shows, you can find us at the socials, including our private Mom and Community Facebook group. You can find links to the group, all of our socials, and our questions and comments section over at our website, momandpodcast.com. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you so much. Now go out there and make your ellipses count.